Humba around the Philippines!
We love our pageants in the Philippines, so this show is an ode to that. We will not be nominating or celebrating Miss Regional or Miss Congenialities. Here what we're doing is selecting a dish that is made in very different ways depending on where you find yourself in the country, and each of us will be assigned one particular province or region. But to make sure that we are doing things properly and authentically, we will make sure that we are contacting locals from those actual regions to help us basically narrate the recipes and tell us about the local intricacies that go into them. So today I am going to be doing Pampanga,
Cebu,
Leyte, Northern Mindanao, Samar,
Dumaguete.
Oy, musta na ka? Minabak na ka? As you can tell, I have been given the hardest province to work on, which is Pampanga. Pampanga is always a cultural and culinary behemoth when it comes to food in general. So today we are talking with the chef owner of Apag Marangle, who's going to walk us through this recipe.
During the planting season, they cook humba and then ibabaon nila yon sa ilalim ng lupa. And then during harvest, as celebration, dun lang nila kukunin yung binaon nila na humba para parang feast.
When you're using pork belly, just make sure to score it like this. Not only does it look really pretty, but it also serves a function in making sure that the marinade, which you should leave for about an hour, penetrates that meat. One of the main differences that we found during our research is you used to use the batok of the pig, which is very, very fatty, and honestly, a lot of the modern variations don't necessarily use it just because it's just so intense and so fatty. So we're gonna be using some pork belly here. Some other people also use some pata, pork hock. You get a lot of flavor from the bones there too. But again, pork belly is completely acceptable.
So pag may humba during fiesta or may mga special occasions, na-excite kaming kumain ng humba.
So this recipe, like other recipes that you might find, calls for a lot of taure. If you have taure and you buy it from the market and it doesn't smell like alcohol, that usually means it was literally just marinated in soy sauce. Taure that's fermented, remember it's fermented, you need that alcoholic smell and flavor that comes out, so that's really key to most of these dishes. We're then going to use some dried oregano, commonly found in households in the Philippines. Use brown sugar. The Kapampangan umba is very, very sweet. Finally, we have whole pieces of garlic. We have some bay leaves, and all that just gets mixed together.
Sugar cane dito na business at saka mga taniman na maraming asukarera. So that's why mahilig kami yung pagluluto namin. We really make use of sugar.
This is a pretty cool thing that they do. They add these sugarcane sticks traditionally in the bottom, which help kind of just prop up the pork and the ingredients. Comes down to preference, but also what this adds is just a lot of flavor to the dish because you are going to be using the sugarcane, so the sugarcane will impart a very kind of distinct sweetness to the overall dish.
Humba is still cooked in the traditional way. Like we're using clay pot or palayok. Tapos naglalagay kami ng salasala. Salasala is yung kawayan na pinagsalasala para siya nakasapit dun sa baba ng palayok para hindi masunog, no? And then we'll just put the marinated na pork. Slow cook siya for about 3 hours.
Now, Kapapangans are very known for doing things differently depending on the households that you find yourselves in. And it's just kind of understanding where a recipe comes from and then understanding who's making them, their direct vicinity, and what they have available in terms of ingredients. And then things start to kind of fall in place and make sense. Palayok is now sealed with our banana leaves. All we need to do now is wait patiently for 3 hours.
Pwede siya sa wood fire because syempre nung unang panahon wood fire ang ginagamit. Pero ngayon pwede rin namin siya sa kalan, yung stove lang. Kaya lang mahina. Kasi nga ayaw nating masunog yung sauce, yung sa baba niya. Mahina lang.
3 hours later, and this looks like it's about done. That pork looks so incredibly tender. We decided to start with Pampanga simply because the whole point of this episode is not only to showcase regional varieties, but also to hammer in people's heads that depending on the communities, the villages, the municipalities that you find yourself in within a certain region, you might have different ways and different recipes of doing things. So it's very hard to claim that there's one traditional way to make Kapampangan Humba. Pork pieces, nice and tender. Go for it, Martz.
So iba yung tamis niya when you use like sugarcane.
Yeah. So there's a smoky undertone. I think it's both the char that the banana leaves get, because they're quite dark, see? And then the ones from the sugarcane give that kind of that earthy, smoky flavor.
It's good since we started with low heat. You know, the syrup, the liquid starts, you know, seeping out.
And flavor-wise, I did add a lot of palm sugar, but it doesn't come off as overly sweet.
So this one you can't really say it's adobo at all. Because some people say when they taste like humba, oh,
This doesn't
adobo.
taste like, yeah, this really tastes
So
like its own distinct thing. And I think the taure being so like funky and fermented, you can really taste that, but in a good way. Pampanga, approved. Not that you needed my approval. I mean, you are a whole region.
Maayong buntag. Now that Erwan has finished his Kapampangan version, it's time for the Cebuano. They love humba so much there that they have a festival for it. And we got our recipe from Chef June of Waterfront Airport Hotel and Casino. So I know it's legit. We'll see how it's different from the taste, the process, and technique, and even ingredients.
Kung magluto ka humba or when you cook humba, it's very simple. You marinate the pork with salt and pepper and soy sauce.
So sa humba ng Cebuano, the main difference would be the sugar that they use and the cooking process.
We use kulon or clay pot. Also sugnod or kahoy to add smokiness of the humba.
But since isa lang yung palayok natin at ginamit na ni Mr. Erwan Jong, gagamit tayo ng kawa. Yan. So very low heat. If the heat is high, what will happen is you'll end up burning your pork without rendering the fat. Pork is browned. Just set this aside for a few minutes. Turn off my heat.
In the pan, you will add muscovado or kinugay. Then allow it to caramelize. Then once it caramelizes, you add the sibuyas dahunan or the scallions, no? Make it like a banig, which is to protect the meat to stick on the bottom.
Crushed garlic, some red onions, dried banana blossoms, tausi, 3 pieces of star anise, whole pepper, peppercorn, 2 bay leaves, be sure some salt, soy sauce, some water.
Then a little bit of soda. Then cover it and simmer it or braise it for at least an hour. Cook it slowly.
So it's been an hour.
We Cebuanos believe that the more you cook it and store it, it will become more softer and tastier. And you serve it with kanon mais or corn grits or with ginamos, then humba is done. Humba is our halal or offering sa among mga bisita or to our visitors that would visit Cebu. Humba is a food that's very special and close to the heart of every Cebuanos because once it's done, it gathers family in the table and it's more fun to eat in the table with humba.
So I need someone to taste with me.
That's me!
Right, so we have to taste as is and with rice.
Okay. Tender.
Medyo asado vibes siya
Yeah.
when you open it.
Chinese asado.
I like it. But it's like patatim, no?
I was about to say, it tastes like patatim. It's not as sweet as I thought it would be.
Maybe you need to eat it with a lot of rice.
Ano, yummy. Lami! Lami! Umba kay lami.
This is the kind of dish that will help you get through the vicissitudes of life, right? No? Rainy days, traffic.
It's perfect with rice.
Mayong gabi mga taga Dumaguete or Dumagueteños. Ako si Sam, taga Dumaguete ko, and today I am making Dumaguete's version of humba. I got this recipe from Chef Matt Villamil of Restaurant Unknown. He is a good friend of mine. We actually both started our restaurants before in 2021. I know he judged one humba competition, and that is why I asked for his help for this dish.
What differs our humba from other places is we render the pork and we do confit until it's crispy. Then we braise it until it's back to fork tender.
A lot of its natural oil is gonna come out of the meat, so that will act as your oil for confit. So this is what we are looking for.
Once it's ready, we try to air dry it, and in a pot or a palayok, we use the lard or pork fat. Then we saute it with onions, garlic, and other aromatics like dried banana blossoms, bay leaf, whole peppercorns.
The recipe actually calls for cinnamon leaves. Unfortunately, we couldn't find any, so as Matt, we can actually use cinnamon bark with a combination of laurel leaves, salted black beans, black peppercorns, coconut vinegar, dried shiitake mushrooms, tenga ng daga or black fungus, muscovado sugar which I got from Baslay Farms, which is located in Negros Oriental, Gaddi, and lastly, a soda of your choice.
We braise it for about 2 hours on slow heat or until fork tender. I think what differs our humba from other places is we do use mushrooms, dried shiitake mushrooms, and taro, which I think improves the flavor and the umami of the humba. One thing that most reminds me about humba is for every summer since I was a kid, lagi kaming umuwi dito sa Dumaguete, and on most gatherings, we always have humba on our spread.
Impressing or pleasing someone through cooking humba is like finding a chimera. It is very hard because it all boils down to tradition, preference, and nostalgia. So the person who I'm calling to taste this today is Ynna from Bacolod. Hey. And hopefully she will like this. I'd suggest you get every part, like the tenga.
Wow.
Yeah,
There's a lot of
especially the skin. That is my favorite part. Did you taste the tenga?
It's actually my first time trying humba na fried. It's deep fried, right? Or fried?
Confit.
Mmm, it's so good.
This is my favorite
And it's
part.
so unique kasi may mushrooms. Ito lang yung humba na may mushrooms, I think. Masarap. Lami kayo!
Maupay na adlaw hain yun na tanan. My name is Ynna and today I will be making latest version of humba. Tara! So I spoke to Tito Vernon Soledad, specifically from Haro, Leyte.
Dito sa aming probinsya sa Haro, Leyte, ganito ang pagluto namin ng humba. Papakulo muna natin yung karning belly.
So we are gonna be letting this boil for about 20 to 30 minutes.
Habang nagpapakulo tayo ng karne, ihanda natin yung ingredient.
So typically in provinces, they use palayok to cook their humba. But nagamit na siya. So we are gonna be opting for kawa. So ilalagay na natin yung pork sa kawa.
Unang-una, tuyo, suka, pineapple juice, bawang, sibuyas, kalamay, bulaklak ng saging, paminta, tabliya o ukwa, mani o black beans, asin.
Let's just thoroughly mix it para ma-combine lahat ng ingredients.
Ang pinakaiba sa luto namin ng humba dahil sa ingredient kasi inahaluan namin ng tabliya at saka kalamay at mani at black beans. At saka pangalawa, niluluto namin sa palayok, ginagamit namin na panggatong ay uling at saka coconut husk.
Let's cover it up with the lid and turn on our stove. Matagal-tagal na paghihintay ito, so mga around 2 to 3 hours. We'll see you right back. So a little fun fact, you might actually see me more on shorts. And this is my first long form, so medyo kinakabahan ako. So I'm actually really excited to be with features content creators from different parts of the Philippines. And I am actually from the province of Bacolod, so Ilongga represent. Basta Ilongga, guwapa. Charot. Ooh! Look at our sauce!
Growing up, talagang yan ang inahanda namin during fiesta dahil yan ang hinihingi ng pang-bring home ng mga bisita. Dahil lalong tumatagal, lalong sumasarap yung humba namin dito.
I'm actually looking forward to tasting this kasi I haven't had chocolate in Humba before. So with me, I will call on Trish for tasting
It's such an honor to be able to taste your first dish.
in long form.
Yes.
Ito, masarap talaga, sure ako. Luto ko kasi ito eh. Cheers. It's so unique. Hindi mo malalasahan yung tableya actually. It adds richness sa dish, but it doesn't like boom, tableya. Parang boom. Boom.
No, and I think it makes the sauce thicker. Kasi tableya naman pag walang sugar, di ba, parang it's pretty bitter or it's like, you know, more neutral. So, okay siya.
And I love how they put peanuts.
I think it adds a good texture.
Yeah.
Good job ka, Ina. Masarap nga dahil luto mo.
Thank you. Over 10. 10.
O sige, 10. Para sa'yo, 10. Maupay nga adlaw sa ating mga viewers. Hi, I'm Trish and I'm representing the province of Samar. Today, we are going to cook this Humba recipe that came from a family friend and churchmate who I'd like to call Tita Weng, who grew up in Catarman, Northern Samar.
Humba is the most prominent in our province. Siya yung king of the table. Kumbaga kulang yung handaan pag wala siyang humba.
But of course, what makes this Humba special is definitely the pineapple. And we are going to be cooking it in a palayok. So you might think this way of cooking is quite anachronistic, but trust me because it gives a different flavor to our dish. Let's go.
So ilalagay nila yung sa palayok, then lahat ng ingredients, pagsama-samahin nila lahat yun.
So traditionally in Samar province, I was told by Tita Weng that what they use is the pork belly and then they cut like squares on top of it, kind of making like a checkered pattern. But now they actually cut it in adobo or sinigang style cut so that it's easier for you to recreate it at home. Plus, it won't take you so long to get that meat really tenderized. And so konting gisa lang. And then we can add a little bit of water na. This is 1.5 cups of soy sauce, a little bit of sugar, our peppercorns, our laurel leaves, and of course, the star of our show, or what makes Samar Humba very different, is the pineapple chunks.
Yung lasa ng pineapple chunk, nag-blend siya doon sa alat.
And syempre, dahil bumabase tayo sa kasabihan ng mga matatanda, we have to put the vinegar but no stirring.
Yung palayok niya yung tatakpan ng yung cover niya, may dahon pa yun.
So traditionally, they put a banana leaf, but for now, we're gonna do it a little bit more on the modernized way. So just close it and wait for it to cook.
Papakaluin siya hanggang sa mag-dry na siya. Para yung lahat ng ingredients, papasok doon sa meat. Yung kanyang taba, as in, gumagalaw na siya sa sobrang lambot, tapos nagme-melt siya sa mouth mo. Ako tuloy-tuloy ko siyang niluluto. Gusto kong ma-transfer sa mga anak ko rin. Matikman nila yung favorite dish ko ng family ko. Kasi naaalala ko yung parents ko. Naiyak daw ako. Niluluto ko siya lagi para naaalala ko sila.
Humba, just like in any other provinces, is something that they serve during fiestas. So, syempre, mas masarap na may ka-share. Let me call on my friend Nica to taste the Humba of Samar province.
Hey! From the looks of it, parang ang sarap niya na and nakakatuwa. Wow!
That's good!
Good job, Trish.
Thanks, girl.
Tita Weng, this is for you! Sobrang sarap. Okay, yung humba kasi sa amin, doesn't use any pineapple. Or like pineapple juice or pineapple chunks. So, this is actually pretty good kasi parang something new siya for me.
No?
Perfect siya sa mouth.
I love the pineapple also because it adds like a sweetness to it. Tapos may ibang
pero
texture.
may konting tangy.
Diba?
Yeah. Maayong adlaw sa tanan. Ako si Nica from Ozamis City. And today, I'm gonna cook the Humba version of my very own hometown, Northern Mindanao. Northern Mindanao is a very diverse region. Each city really has its own take with the dish Humba. That's why I realized, why not just share the recipe that I grew up with? So I called my mom and then asked her if she could share the family recipe of Humba.
Ang pagluluto ng humba sa amin ay kalimitan nangyayari pag may malaking celebration like fiesta. Ito talaga yung inaabangan ng mga bisita. Niluluto namin ang humba through wood fire.
Yung pinaka nagpapasarap talaga sa pagluluto ng humba for me is eto, OG talaga to. We call this kawa in our place. Mas maganda pa sana to if we use actually wood fire, especially if we're gonna use coconut palms. Kasi yun talaga yung parang nagbibigay ng aroma sa humba.
Isi-sear muna namin ang karne ng baboy hanggang mag-golden brown siya. Pag lumabas na yung oil, saka tayo magsusuté ng ahos at saka sibuyas. Tapos idagdag natin ang kola, sukang bisaya, toyo, black beans, mascubado at saka banana blossom. Tapos pag mag-boil na siya, magdagdag tayo ng water. At pag mag-boil na siya ulit, hinaan lang natin ang flame at saka continue ang paghalo para iwasang masunog natin yung ilalim. At pag maglilesen na yung water, tikman natin. Pag medyo kulang sa alat, pwede tayong magdagdag ng salt para mabalance natin yung sweetness at saka yung alat.
Sobrang tender niya na. This has been cooking for almost 3 hours already. Most of our liquid has reduced. And then we are left with this very beautiful sauce.
Wala ka talagang masasabi na ito lang ang recipe sa Northern Mindanao. Ang iba, gumagamit ng pineapple juice as sweetener. Sa amin, mascubado at tsaka cola. Yung iba gumagamit ng bay leaf at star anise. Sa amin, hindi kami gumagamit. Ginagamit din namin ang belly tsaka ang mascara. Ang maalala ko talaga pag kumakain ako ng humba, nung maliit pa ako, especially during fiesta, maaga kaming magising. Nanonood akong nagkakatay ng baboy. Iba-ibang grupo, nag-groupings kami. Yung uncle ko, yung aunties ko sa ibang putahe, ako sa humba. Every time na kumakain ako ng humba, yun talaga ang maalala ko.
And here's our final humba dish. I hope mga kapamilya, kung nananaw mo karon, hatagan ron ta na kung hustisya ang ato ang recipe sa itong pamilya. So, syempre kung ako yung titikim, parang sasabihin ko masarap. Kasi kinagisnan ko na siya eh. Kaya, I want to know the thoughts sa mga taga-Visayas, especially sa mga taga-Dumaguete. Sam? I want to know your thoughts.
Saan man?
Gusto ko makahibaw sa imong thoughts. Like, sa ba? Lami ba siya?
Masulti, ani. So, ang main difference, ani, is ang iyahang maskara.
Yes.
Actually, karon pa pug ko nakakitawag ng aning klase sa humba.
Oh, really?
Mascara, yeah. Actually. So, I'm very excited to... Oh my God. This is fiesta in my mouth.
True.
Right?
Ano ba? There's not enough onomatopoeias to describe how good this, humba is.
Actually, meron.
Ano?
Humbam!
Humbam! That's it. We have made 6 different versions of humba from different regions. And personally, of course, favorite ko yung sarili kong luto kasi it's what I'm used to. But I also found it interesting yung version ng Leyte. Because there's tablea, so that's very interesting. And perfect yung pagka-balance niya sa sweetness. Also, the addition of the nuts.
I love yung humba ng Dumaguete kasi it has mushrooms. So, it's unique in that way.
I've never eaten this much humba in my life. So aside from the one that I made, obviously, biased, I also really enjoyed what Nica made because I didn't think na yung mascara, nalalambot pala siya ng ganun. So, good job, girl. Thanks.
What's really interesting among the 6 is the Pampanga one.
Oh, yeah.
Very fragrant, pungent, and funky. Lots of umami too. So definitely keep an eye on this one.
I like the Cebu one. It's super sweet, almost syrupy. It's kind of like that Chinese barbecue pork. If your preference is sweet and sticky, you'll go for Cebu. You want that soft, very aromatic, perfumey humba, you'll go for Pampanga. And you want that darkness of the chocolate texture of peanut, you'll go for... Which one is this?
Leyte.
You'll go for Leyte. And yeah, iba-iba siya. What should we do next?
We should do like sardinas.
Tama
na, tama na, Sam. Tama na. Tama na. Yes, stop. Cut!